Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Let's just make sure our audio is good because we're always plagued by tech goblins. I think we're good. Any issues, chat, let me know. That being said, what's up, geeks, and welcome to Investigation Check, our not so regular interview show where I get to dive deep with your favorite geeky creators, from game developers to cosplayers, authors to YouTubers, and learn about them, their hobbies, passions, and uncover the untold stories of the brilliant minds behind our favorite content. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this quest with these creative powerhouses. So, join me on this epic adventure as we roll the dice, uncover hidden truths, and embark on unforgettable quests together. Get ready for Investigation Check. Tonight, I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Emaline Sterling, who you've probably seen on TikTok and various events throughout the year. She is a creator in the Tavern Chord space and our resident pirate. So, how are you, Miss Sterling, if I may?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this one.
It's honestly my absolute pleasure. I'll be very serious.
For real. Well, I love talking about this stuff because these are usually questions and topics I feel passionate about, but sometimes I don't know, when you hang out with your nerd creators, you talk about dragons. So these are also really good topics. I'm glad you're providing a space for this conversation.
Well, I'm glad to have you and anyone else that wants to join us on Investigation Check. So let's dive right into it because I know you're a busy woman and I want to make sure we have opportunity to get to all of our questions. So start me off. Let's start at the beginning of your journey. What came first, your love of music or your love of the geek space?
I was gonna say this one's easy, but I actually can't quite recall. I want to say music. I want to say music came first. But I spent a lot of my like maybe 8, 9 years old starting to read fantasy. Um, I'm gonna go with music. Let's just make it an easy answer. I
Okay.
think music came first. Fantasy followed super, super close second, though.
Well, how'd you get started in music?
Man, we have a very musical family. So my mom, I remember being a kiddo, right? Girl Scouts, dude. We go to Girl Scouts. My mom would show up and she would do guitar, just guitar and sing to the Girl Scouts every Thursday or whatever it was.
Okay.
So, you go home and like mom's playing guitar and you sit and hang out with her and just you're exposed to it, right? Being exposed to music, super important. Actually, as you ask this question, I think it's easier to be exposed to music than to be exposed to fantasy. I just think it's more common. You hear it everywhere. It's like
Yeah.
so ingrained in our culture. So as I answer this question, I'm almost like, yeah, music came first. But I think it's just because fantasy wasn't that available to me till I really could start to read on my own.
So what was the first instrument you learned how to play?
I sang before anything. Not that I kept up with that, but singing. Like my first formal instrument, are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
The technical answer is piano, but that's boring, so I'm going to pretend. The first formal instrument was clarinet. I
Okay.
like learned it in school and I like super nerdy and I would play it off to the side because they wouldn't let you choose brass instruments when you're in third grade. You could only choose like
Okay.
easy woodwinds. I wanted to play saxophone. So they're like, well, if you want to play saxophone, you have to start on clarinet. So I'd start on it, I'd play it off to the side, I'd be like, watch me go, man. Then I started saxophone in fourth grade, saxophone for the next like whatever, 16 years.
How many instruments can you play?
Piano, I sing, guitar, more guitar, more guitar. This is electric guitar, classical guitar, and acoustic guitar. I study all three. That's what that was. Clarinet. I bought a flute recently, like an Irish penny whistle.
Jeez.
It's for a living.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, so can you still actively play all those instruments? Damn.
I might have to spend like a week on clarinet getting it up to speed again. But sax, I have my sax here. I play it all the time. Um, Piano, I play all the time. Yeah, yeah.
Anything you want to learn how to play?
Jazz guitar. How does that
Another
work?
guitar. More guitar.
It's just another like style of guitar. Like the notes don't matter. No, I'm like what? What? Okay.
It's like more cowbell. Just I
This
gotta learn
genre
all
is
the
so
guitars.
poor cow. Yeah.
So, what was the first like fantasy thing that you started to kind of get exposed to?
Yep. Summer reading list.
Okay.
The book on every single grade, every single year was The Hobbit. So
Okay.
you pick something like 4 or 5 books you promise to read through the summer, and then you read those books, and then it's great. The Hobbit made that list every year. So the second year when they started doing this, the second summer, I'm looking at the list. Oh, The Hobbit's there again. Well, I read that last year. I'll just read it this year. It's kind of like cheating, right? Oh my God. I read The Hobbit for like 12 years in a row because it
Gee.
appeared on the summer reading list. That book started me. Oh my God, what a great place to start. Yeah, so that's where it started.
Is The Hobbit the only like the, so how do I word this? At what point did you start to branch out from The Hobbit and kind of like explore more fantasy things?
I didn't keep this hobby, but I started drawing, like pen and paper and drawing,
Hmm.
and I'm awful. It's great. It's fun. And I would draw just like dragons. Because as I'm reading, right, you're like an over imaginative kid, just super imaginative. So you read these books, and these pictures would stay with you in your brain, and you would want to like spit them out on paper. I don't know if other people are like this, but I guess 9-year-old Lindy was.
Okay.
So drawing was like a good way to get all that stuff out because you're reading, it's triggering pictures up here, and you just want to expand on that, right? Some people ended up writing fan fiction, like they wanted to play with these thoughts and scenes that were in their heads. So there's lots of outlets for stuff like that. Even musicians, I have musician friends who will read like the Tower by Stephen King, and they'll write rock songs based on that like fantasy novel. It happens all the time. So my thing was drawing, and then I'd read The Hobbit, I'd read Tolkien, and then I'd start drawing things from that universe. I ended up learning the God Elven. I would draw the Elven letter, like the alphabets,
No
when I was bored
kidding.
in school, and I would write notes to my sister. So like just random little things like that, right? It would fill my idle time, is what
Uh-huh.
it ended up happening. Yeah.
So, can you still write Elven?
Ooh, I'd probably have to review it for a minute, but I do remember. I'm gonna say no right now today, but ask me in a week.
Okay. Getting back
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
So, at what point did they kind of like start to influence each other?
Took a long time because when I'd hang out with my fantasy friends, we would be doing like cosplay stuff or talking about anime or talking about dragons. Like we'd chill. And then I had a very specifically different group of rock friends.
Okay.
And totally different. We were into Don't Laugh at Me, You Can Laugh at Me, Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, God, Cobra Starship. Like that whole group. Oh my God, the 2000s bands.
Yes.
They were very different groups, right? So I nurtured both of these things, but they didn't really have an opportunity to clash. Um, Dude, not till recently. It took like a whole 10-year train ride.
Jeez.
Yeah. So they've been very separate for most of my life.
What kind of started that process of them coming together?
The dark necessities of struggles. um, yeah, you get innovative when you get needy. It's true. I was touring in a bunch of tribute bands, like just straight up classic. You make really good and consistent money. Like it was just a good gig. Not everybody there was into fantasy. Like very separate. It's over there. Cool. Um, Pandemic came, shut down all the bands. Oh no, what are we gonna do, right? And a lot of musicians were in this boat, and I just kind of started hanging out on social media, and the algorithm was like, "You like rock, you like fantasy. I don't know what to give you, so I'll give you both." And I don't know. I would just like flip through these. I would just scroll, right? Doom scroll, see pictures of people playing, scroll, see a cosplayer in a tavern, and like my brain just started combining these two, and I was like, there's no reason you need to keep these separate, Lindy. And the pandemic was just a lot of idle time for people.
Hmm.
So it was a thought for a long, long time was like, you don't have to keep these separate. Huh. You really don't. And like, I wouldn't do anything with it. I just would think about it. And then really in the pandemic, I got to explore that thought. And I just started doing like taverncore in the pandemic. And, just, it really was an exploration is really, really what it was.
So, feel free to humble brag here. Did you start Taverncore? Just claim it. Just claim it now. Claim
No.
it now.
No,
Now's your
no, no.
chance.
I know about this history. I did not start Taverncore. There's tons of bands who. Okay. We were having this conversation in the server recently. What constitutes something as Taverncore? Because you get a lot of like Celtic music, you get a lot of like finger picking guitar that sounds old timey, right? So what the hell is Taverncore? Because it kind of exists already, but it kind of doesn't. Taverncore is an intention. you're intentionally writing music either for a D&D game, a TTRPG setting. You want it to sound like a Renaissance Ren fair. There's some intention of I'm bringing this culture into what I do, as opposed to just I play Celtic music. They're pretty damn similar, but not always, right? So, no, Taverncore has always been what we call a microgenre.
Okay.
I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like, microgenre. It's a genre we expect will never get mainstream or like that's the difference between underground, punk was not underground. What's the word I'm looking for? Like an
Niche.
underdog. I can't think of the word right now. Niche. Thank you. Niche is something that has the ability to become like mainstream one day.
Right.
So Taverncore's always been a microgenre. It'll probably never appear in the mainstream, but that's okay. It exists. It's been around for, I want to say 10, 15 years maybe.
Okay.
It really blew up in the pandemic.
Okay.
For a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, for real.
Okay. You're cutting out a little bit. I think internet might be a little sluggish. If there's something you could do to help with that, just so we don't lose you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you said you did some cosplays and stuff like that, and I know you have your character for your TikTok. Do you create characters that are part of yourself, or are they something that you like latch onto from the outside? What's the process like for that?
Yeah. I am going to finish up closing just a little bit because I am. Give me just a second here. I can nerdily ramble as we're doing this. So I've been working all day, so it's like multitasking, man. It's a whole thing. I love what I do. That's not a complaint. Yeah, so are costumes part of me, an extension of me? That is a weird... I never know how to answer this question. Because I never know how to answer this. I mean, yes, right? Like, in a way, yes. Everything I do is going to be a reflection of some core part of myself. I'm not a professional actor or actress. I've never studied that, so I don't know how to reflect other things in me. I know scale's real good. That's about it. So, like... Here's how it goes. I created Emaline in a text roleplay setting. We were just like play-by-play, post-by-post kind of roleplay stuff. And I was like, what would be a fun character for this environment that exists? And I just kind of made her like that. There were a lot of opportunities in that text roleplay to write songs and music. And I was like, fun, I'm going to write the songs for real and publish them for real and get way too into it for real. Cool. So it just kind of happened like Emaline was designed for a certain thing, but then she kind of came off that onto TikTok. Now I dress up at her as cons. I go to Ren Fair as her. I represent her. So she really is the first one who feels like a person that wasn't like, oh, I'm feeling sad. I'm going to create a character in all black today, which is fine and valid. Like, she really was like, I have a need. I'm going to create a person. And now Lindy represents her, which is kind of an interesting thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay.
So where does Emaline, the character, start and you stop?
Emaline is more forward than me. She will like go up to you and say something silly. She has traits that I don't share. Like she's way more, there's a couple things. She's way more willing to flirt. Like if you meet me in real life, I'm usually I'll joke with you and whatever, but on TikTok I feel a lot safer just like exploring that side, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because it's like I know I don't have that quality normally. I know I'm not like driven to be that level of that thing. But on TikTok it feels super safe. So that's one that I divide really well is like I feel comfortable representing her going to that degree. But in real life I know where I'm comfortable here too, and I'm very aware of that difference, and it's just kind of fun to put eyes on that and be like, oh, cool. That's like where it starts and ends. When it comes to things like music, she's doing music for a different reason. She goes to write songs to become like she wants to write the next Bard hit single. So she's always out with adventuring people, with important people, with people of high stature. And me, I'm just like, in real life, I'm like, I just want to express a thought. I can express that better in music. So that's another place where like, it's all different,
Yeah. Is Emaline Bard? Is she a pirate? What is she, a pirate bard? What's her class?
Straight up Bard. She actually did not start as a pirate. She's running away from something, and the pirate is her disguise. She grew up in a high court. She wasn't royalty, but she grew up in a high court. So she has this really interesting background. If you interact with her in text roleplay or on TikTok a lot, you will start to see like she actually knows how to have a very high-end conversation. She actually knows how to pour tea really well. She actually knows how to dress formally. But she's like a pirate, so she's running away. So that's always a really fun plot line to have, right?
I love it. I love the backgrounds that like creators create for their characters that like if you don't dig for it, you're never gonna find these things, but they're always so like oh, it's so interesting to hear like the stories that people create.
There's something, actually, we had a conversation recently, me and another, this was a writer, and they were talking about DM notes. We're saying, what happens to DM notes that never make it to your game, right? Do those just like die and go off into the void? And what do you do with them? And we kind of came to the conclusion, it's okay for the DM to know something and the players to not know something. It actually enhances the world because you as the creator, even if you know things that the people aren't directly getting, like you're still carrying that with you and representing that subconsciously. So like, I don't know, all these things that I know that you may not know about Emaline, you see a pirate and that's cool, but these things help me represent this interesting, deep, depthful character, you know? Yeah.
That's awesome. So are there any like specific franchises in like the geek and fantasy space or characters that have had an influence on your work?
So much. How do I name them all? Yes. I'm gonna plug a project that doesn't exist anymore, but oh my God. So I was into voice acting for a couple of years.
Okay.
Oh my God. I'm laughing because the project was awesome. Me and a voice actor friend, it was one female, one male, and we would sit and we'd read people's fan fiction. And we'd voice the characters like from a voice acting perspective. And that's all, that was it. You sent your fan fiction to the podcast, we'd print out certain ones, we'd read them. Great. That was really where I got into like The Witcher. We had a lot of Witcher fan fictions.
Okay.
So I'd really go in, start researching Witcher characters. Because I want to know if I'm going to represent one of these characters, like, let me listen to them. What's their backstory? How many games have they been in? Who've been all the different voice actresses of this character? We like researched the parts we did really well. So like this is a professional answer, right? So from a professional setting, it was really cool to see how other video game voice actors would represent their characters because you'll start to notice they'll represent stuff differently than movie people will. It's really, really interesting. So Witcher was a big one for me. I would actually sit there and play the game, and I'd go over certain lines of like certain, I guess I was on YouTube or something, like scenes where Yennefer would talk, you'd get the subtitles. So I'd start to talk over her and try to match her pitch and inflection and how she slowed her words down at certain points and how her voice, like she would do certain things with her voice. And that was just really interesting. So Witcher was a big one. We did that a lot with, there's a lot of Star Wars going on there. We worked a lot with Harry Potter came up a lot too.
Okay.
So like a lot of those have influenced the way I'm able to present myself when I'm doing other people who are not me. I have a lot of choices to draw from, right? Super professional, not super technical. I'm going to answer your question from a creative standpoint now, okay?
Okay.
Cool, thanks, I appreciate you. So straight up, yeah, I should have thought about this ahead of time and I didn't. Just Lindy enjoying her nerd stuff. The Witcher is going to make this list too.
Okay.
I love that. Dude, I love Star Wars is pretty good, like the originals.
Okay.
I'm weirdly enough, I'm kind of not into the new ones. I don't. They're great. I'm just not as into them, so that's a whole thing.
We can have a whole hour-long conversation about that.
Believe it. Don't check the chat. It's fine. All the opinions. No, guys. Tolkien has to make the list. Like the whole Tolkien universe, super, super influential. What else have I been into? Like super. There's been so much. Oh God, do you remember the Aragorn series? This was a book series.
Yes.
That was a really big one for me. I read that many times. Christopher Paolini, I think it was the author. Someone check me on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's all good. Cosplay in general. Who'd I cosplay a lot? Oh my God, I cosplay Cowboy Bebop, which is not fantasy, that's sci-fi, but wow.
It's all one big bubble at the end of the day.
Big one. I'm gonna stop the list there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you checked out The Wheel of Time?
No, it's on my list though.
It is. I read the books. I didn't finish the books. I got to finish them. But the new shows came out the second season. Ooh, it's good.
Wait, I'm writing this down because I have been looking for new books recently. Wheel of Time. Okay.
So good. Anyway.
How's the shows?
I'm enjoying the show, but
Yeah.
They do things differently from the book, so people have complaints, obviously. But I'm not like hardcore into the book, so I can understand and I can just accept it for a new world, new story in that world.
Yeah, appreciate that. I get why there's fanatics, and
Yeah.
I get why there's people who are relaxed about changing things. Um, I understand both perspectives. I think it is hard though to take a story in a certain format and turn it to another
Oh
format.
yeah.
Keeping it true, like you have the ability to lose so much in translation. Like
Yeah.
Stephen King writes a lot with the thoughts of the narrator. How do you represent a thought of a narrator on screen? Like
Yeah.
the impact's a little different, right? So I don't know,
Just to
get it.
answer the chat, the first book is The Eye of the World in the Wheel of Time
Okay,
series.
thank you.
And yes, they are dense. The books are fucking dense.
Let's go.
Let's see here. Where were we? Okay, so talk to me about the leap from hobby to making this into something more through your successful social media accounts, and what kind of hurdles did you encounter as you got started?
Um, okay, I have two social media accounts. I'm going to answer this from the cosplay one, and then I want to give you a different answer for the other one that I have.
Perfect.
So, cosplay was super explorative at first. I actually started the cosplay account because I needed somewhere to relax and just express, like, I just wanted a safe spot. That's all it was. Didn't tell my friends, didn't tell my family. Like, people who knew me didn't know this account. I just, like, did things I love, and that was that. So it was really not serious. I didn't update it. Maybe it was sporadically updated. Some of the stuff I put up, I have one sister who goes to Ren Fair with me, and I showed her. I wouldn't show her the account, but I'd be like, I'm thinking of posting this video. What do you think? She'd watch it. She'd be like, Lindy, this is cringy. And I'd be like,
Thanks.
well, I'm gonna put it up anyway. And like that really was the spirit of the account. I don't care. I like what I made.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Which I think is fine. I think when you're a creative, that is a stage that every creative needs to go through. Is like, I really like this thing I made. And you do show it to people, and there's a stage where people are like, and like it's all right. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you miss, sometimes you hit it. It's all fine. But I think that's a really important stage because what you're doing is you're learning more about your creative essence, your creative abilities, I think it is.
Uh-huh.
Right? So when you're looking at your creative abilities like that, you do need to pull them a little bit. So sometimes you do make things that are cringy because you're exploring your boundaries, right? You're exploring what works for you and what doesn't. So I started with some pretty cringy pirate stuff. I think it's still all up there. If you guys ever scrolled real far, you could probably find it. I'm not going to delete it because it's true to me.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there. So that's cool. That's cosplay. All good. I have another account that I teach guitar on now. It didn't start that way. And this one has become professional. This one has become like a lot of my, main focus goes on that one. It's very professional. That one started as just Lindy playing guitar covers online. And it wasn't any creative expression aside from like, here's a cover I really like, enjoy it. Boom. So this is already a format that exists. I wasn't like exploring or doing anything new. It was just do this thing everybody online does. Cool. End of story, right? That turned into like people would invite me to join their bands and I just get offers, and that one was really cool. So from there, it kind of turned into people saying like, wait, Lindy, how do I do this thing? And then I really started teaching, and now education on social media is such a good place to be. So that just ended up where this thing went. So that one was a little less explorative, a little bit more these formats already exist, follow the format,
Right.
do your music within the style. Does that answer the question?
I think so.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
how did you go from like the leap though, from it being just hobby to professional?
Yeah. So, I mean, what do we define professional? Because I'm trying to decide what the leap is and where that occurs, man. Where would that boundary be for you?
I mean, I have like less than 100 followers on some things, and I consider those professional because it's about I put the effort into it to make it professional, where it's not just hobby where I'm putting up whatever I want. So that would, I think, kind of be the way I would interpret that as. Maybe
Okay.
that's different for you.
Well, I kind of want to define this because I think this is important because some people define it as I'm making money off it, therefore it's professional. But other people are like, once I reach this amount of followers, then it's professional. Other people are like, if I post every Tuesday, then it's professional. Like, there's so many different.
Yeah.
I like your definition though. Let's say this. I'm gonna say my professional set in when I became intentional. I became attentive to what I wanted. That is
Okay.
so much words. So with the pirate stuff, I was just exploring a lot at first, but there came a point where I was like, wait, I want to do some pirate character development and I want to do some music on this account. I now know what I want. I now have a direction and a goal.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like that's when things kind of changed.
Okay.
So can we go with that definition? Does that sound
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool. So when did that happen? That happened probably when I started writing my third pirate song, maybe. Or
Okay.
sorry, just Tavern Core song in general. They're not all pirate songs. Um, so I think I was playing and I was doing like cringy humor in the beginning and just cringy, like whatever, just exploring. There's kind of no real goal here. Try stuff out. And then I started writing these songs and I published them. And by the third one, I was like, wait, I'm really enjoying the music side of this. Tavern Core is so cool, man. So there was a moment where I was like, okay, if I do the character development,
Hmm.
if I do like, here's where it landed. Ready? There came a point where I said, you know what, Lindy, I want to make I think the number was like 40% of my posts music centric.
Okay.
And the rest can just be like fun duets and all the other stuff. And I think when I made that decision, everything started becoming professional. And it was more of the decision led the change
Okay.
instead of like the change being like, oh, like I didn't wake up one day and say, maybe I could do this professionally. I made a decision, right? To say, I'm going to post X amount of music and X amount of just character building and we're going to go for it. And it took some time, like the numbers didn't change the next day,
Right.
you know, whatever. It took like maybe 6 to 8 months to really start moving on that track. The decision was made maybe like, I don't know, a little less than a year ago, I think, for the pirate stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah.
did you I know you said you didn't see the numbers right away, but did you feel like the 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 I guess inspiration to like kind of drive that in a certain way? I don't know if the best way to put this.
Yeah, I can work with that. I can answer that question.
Yeah, you get what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I do. Well, it did because every post suddenly had a drive, every
Right.
post suddenly served a purpose, and every post had a very clear direction of where we're going and why we're going there. So it was like, you know what? I want to build like a fan base, a group of people who would come to a Tavern Core show in the future. This is not really a thing, like Tavern Core on tour. I know there's bands like I've seen the pirate rock bands, like I know they exist. This is slightly different, right? But I still like that's the goal. Every post I make, I want to build an audience. I want to bring people together. And maybe one day in the future, when I go out on tour, these people will be the people who come to shows and we'll like fill, oh my God, the concert halls and all the stuff that we play at with these people, with the people. So every post that I make, I know some of it's the same. Some of it is still like, here's a transition video. I've done transition videos since day one. Here's a
Right.
lip sync video. Done those since day one. But the difference is in the beginning, it was explorative. Do I enjoy this? Am I good at this? Am I making cringy ones? Are some of these going off, right? And now it's like, oh, let me do a transition video to this sick song that just dropped. Why? Because I know it's a trending song right now and I know all the fantasy people are in on it. And I want to be like, hey guys, I'm part of this culture. I know you and I see you. What's up, transition? And like, there's a different intention with it now, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leap off that actually because I think this is
Mhm.
a great conversation. Speaking more into the challenges that come along with trying to launch a professional social media presence, what made you want to begin the journey? Do you have benchmarks for certain where you want to be at certain stages? Kind of going off what we just said, like you made that
Mhm.
intentional decision to start, posting certain types of content. So how does that kind of operate with getting everything, launching this social media presence?
Yeah, I think launching is one of those terrifying words. Creatives hate this word. Oh my God, guys, we hate this word. Because launching is a very like pass or fail. Oh my God. Sometimes there's like slow launches and soft launches, right? So getting into a launch mentality is fine. There will be some failures and there will be some successes. So like I'll give you an example. What's something I've launched that didn't do well at first? Yes. Okay. So I experimented with writing sea shanties for a little while.
Okay.
Singing is not my main thing that I do. Like I can do it. I've always been a backup singer on stage or whatever, but lead singing is really hard for me. Try some sea shanties. They didn't do too well, right? And it's really easy to be like, oh man, I launched my sea shanty month. It's just not hitting. Like, dude, that kind of sucks. And you go back on it and you reflect why. And this is one of the professional things is reflect why things didn't work.
Hmm.
Instead of just like, I'm gonna delete that video and just like whatever, move on. Which is a fine strategy too. There's nothing wrong with that. I have the time to sit down and reflect on stuff. So it's like, why didn't the sea shanties take off? I'm literally dressed as a pirate, right? What's going on? Um, there's a couple things I found out, like I didn't do enough repetitions because people like to say, like, yo ho, yo ho. Something that repeats a lot is
Hmm.
a lot of sailors on a ship can grab really easily. I was getting way too into the lyrics. And
Okay.
like my lyrics were a little bit too much for people to get. Like the Weller man comes, that line happens like 6 times in the song, right? You may not know the verses, but you know when the Weller man line comes up, you're like, I got you. Um, so that was something I wasn't doing too well. Did I fail the launch? No, I just like missed a detail. And I think
Hmm.
missing a detail is not a big deal. I think you can fix any of this stuff, right? So yeah, when it comes to being creative and launching, I think launching can be scary for that reason because it does force you into a position where you have to self-reflect. I think self-reflecting is fun. I don't think it's that common. I don't know, chat. Tell me, am I like what? How are you with your creative stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
are other people as easy to reflect on themselves? I don't know. I haven't asked that question to many creatives. Anyways, I'm rambling.
Listen, you ramble all day, and trust me,
All
I'm
right.
loving hearing you talk. It's been absolute pleasure thus far.
No, this has been good. Yeah, I like this rapport.
Um, so barring the word launch, when you are kind of like for you specifically, when you are trying to build this each of your social media platforms, what do you look for like benchmarks or certain stages, or do you just kind of like ride
Yeah.
it out?
Yeah, no, it is a long-term game. If you're looking to like launch or just get up on social media, would you say build? Build social media. Let's go
Yes.
there. Yeah, if you're looking to build social media, it's a long game for sure. There's this weird sprint you feel like you need to do where you're like, I need to get that viral video. I need to get that viral video. That viral video is not going to carry you. It's
Right.
going to be great for like a month or two or three if you do really well, or like six, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be able to follow up with like the 1-2 punch. You're not born that way. Like a lot of people take time to develop what they're good at. Am I presenting myself well? How do I act on camera? Like there's all these tiny skills you need, right, to build this social media that you're building. So benchmarks can come into play in a really good way. Something that I do with benchmarks is I've got a weird business funnel. Like you guys don't have to do this, but I'll share mine with you. There's two things I look for on the pirate account. I want to get invites to collaborate with other musicians,
Hmm.
and I want to do more, right now at least, I want to do more live appearances. Like
Right.
anywhere, at a convention, at like a, fun event, at a rent fair or something like this. So my social media is going to be designed to welcome those opportunities. So a benchmark for me is I wanted to go to some cons this year. I didn't put a number on it, just because finances are finances, and
Right.
some cons is turning into two this year, which is great. I'm really excited.
Okay.
Um, I've been invited to like sit on certain panels and stuff like that. So it's cool. Like, these benchmarks are happening, but it's a long game. It's not like
Yeah.
you wake up one day and say, I want to be invited to a convention and like it happens next week.
Right.
You really have to be committed to this for 6 months and work at it and work at it, right? And these are okay, so I'm rambling. I'm just going. I hope it's okay.
By all
Here we go.
means.
Okay. One of the things I do for specifically if I wanted to be invited to places, I have to be open, like DMs open, communicating with people, talking with people, and like asking, what are you doing in your life too? It's not always just about me. We're a whole community out there, right? I fit in a certain place in that community, and I want to know what else is going on. Like, what are my neighbors doing? What's going on in my neighborhood? What's
Hmm.
going on my street? What's going on in my cul-de-sac, right? It's a whole thing. So, just for example, there's some music content creators that I'm very talkative with just because they're on my cul-de-sac.
Uh-huh.
I want to know what they're doing. I talk to them a lot. We talk about a lot of really cool, deep kind of nerd stuff. And that's fine. Then there's people who are on my street. And these might be people, like there's some content creators who pose as a bard online, but they don't actually play an instrument in real life,
Okay.
which is fine. And I love that. Like, come in the world. I represent a bard. You represent a bard. I know you're not publishing music. I don't care. You're still acting as a bard on TikTok. I want to say hi and know your stuff and see what you're doing. Like, here's what I do. Do you need any help with anything? What's going on? You're on my street and I care about you, right? And then you've got people just in your neighborhood. And these might be people where I don't have any direct thing in common with them except that we like D&D. So like dungeon masters might be a good example. I DM sometimes on the side, super chill. I don't talk about it that much, whatever. But if I meet another person who's like a professional hardcore DM on TikTok, I'll be like, "Hey, how are you? What's going on? How you doing?" I may not be in their DMs as much as my music,
Right.
other like Tavern Core creator friends, but I want to know like, what are you doing? What's up? So those aren't really benchmarks, but those are like ways that I treat my social media to get more invites to go to these places that I want to go. That specifically works for me. There's some people who want this is a common one, man, in social media. I think most people know this, but like businesses, corporations will run their social media like, okay, we're whatever, Verizon, we want to get 20,000 more followers in the next quarter. And then they'll like hand that to their social media team and be like, make it happen. I think that's a super stressful way to live, but they also have teams of people who can help accomplish this.
Right.
But I do know some content creators that subscribe to that. So I don't want to like say it's good or bad. It's just if that works for you, go get it. It's kind of a thing that doesn't work for me. I do better with the create friendships is a really good way. And so
Well,
it
I think
works
that's
for me.
really interesting. I actually want to talk to you a little bit more about that. So, like,
Mhm.
you talking about creating these friendships, like that can be very intimidating for some people to like just message someone randomly. Do you have any like advice or way to not come off as like, hey, be my friend? We do stuff the same,
Yep.
like me.
Oh, my nerds, I love you guys so much. Yes, this is an interesting one because it happens differently than the entertainment industry. I'll talk about that in a second. With my nerds, don't be too pushy. For real, this works. I promise you this works. Don't be too pushy. There's nothing wrong with DMing someone and be like, "Oh my God, you have shown up in my For You page like 4 times this week. You're killing it." That's it. That's it. Like that's how you can start just saying like, "Hi, I appreciate you," right? Again, there's also this undercurrent of you're in my community. I see you. I respect what you're doing. You're working really hard. Good job, right? It's not always about us. So just that can be a really easy way to do it. Some people don't feel confident going in DMs, and I understand that. You can also be a person who drops comments frequently, just like, you know, drop comments frequently. It can be that simple. I actually developed a really good friendship with a guy. We didn't really have a lot in common, but his TikTok was just really good, and I comment on a lot of stuff. And eventually, he DM'd me, and he was just like, "I just want to let you know you're great." And I was like, "Dude, I just want you to know you're great." And that was it. That was it. And it just created a really, really good positive environment. And it can be that simple. It doesn't need to be a whole cold call.
Yeah.
Introduce your backstory. I started clarinet at 9. Like it doesn't have to be that, you know?
All right. So, as a content creator, how do you like plan out what your content is going to look like, and do you battle the algorithm against like your creative energy? I know we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but is there anything else you kind of wanted to dive into on that?
Ha ha ha. Yeah. I have this philosophy. Teach this to my students. It's called keep your well full, I guess. I don't know what it's called. Never
Now
leave
it's
your well
called keep your well
empty.
full.
Now it's called keep your well full. Exactly. Handled it. And it's real simple. It's real simple. It is physically impossible, mentally impossible to be inspired all the time. That doesn't happen. You will go through breakups. Your car will break down. You will get a bad grade on your test. Your family will annoy you. You cannot be creative all the time. So what does that mean for us as creatives? Oh my God, the world's over. No, guys, there's another solution. In those moments where you are feeling creative, just notice it. And this is the time where you're filling up your well. So what I do is I will maybe have like a day or two where I'm just in the zone. I will write my pirate jokes, write, I guess with old school pen and paper. I write them on my phone, whatever, write them. And I'll save a list. I'm like, I know I can't film for another week or two, but I'm catching this because I want my well to stay full. So I make lists. When the creativity is there, I just catch it. Even if I can't go film right away, it's fine. I do this with music too. I'll do a lot of voice memos of me playing really bad, out of tune guitar if I get an idea for a song. I've been in the car driving. Don't drive. I've been in the car, park stop sign, like singing a stupid line I got in my head into my phone, and I'm like, okay, I'll deal with that later. My well is full. So there's a stage where you have to like catch the things while they're there. Then when I'm in my pirate outfit, then I can go back and look at the list and be like, oh my God, I have like 20 videos to film and they're all really funny and I'm really excited to do them all and this is good content. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Um,
would love to ask that question to like 7 other creatives because I bet
yeah,
every different creative person would give you a different answer.
yeah. So does like the algorithm come into that creative process at all, or is it just
Oh,
like
yes. Oh, I didn't answer that part. Sometimes, but not always.
okay,
The stupid, stupid algorithm. Yes, I think this year I've mastered the art of like the 4 second joke.
okay,
Oh, which is blessings and curses, man. Um, I've done a couple videos that have like killed it, man, on the 4 second jokes. I just want people to know something. The 4 second jokes are great. They get you a lot of views, they get you a lot of comments, they get you a lot of attention, but I've noticed they don't like give the meat to your career. That was a
uh-huh.
weird way to say it. They don't
I
I don't
I got
know.
it.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Some of the videos that I've really felt like a weight of, oh, I feel like I've kind of moved up, I guess, in what I do are the videos where I actually demonstrate my expertise.
Uh-huh.
Some of my videos where I'm playing guitar don't have the most views in the world,
Right.
but those videos have created a lot of people in my DMs just saying like, "Oh my God, I played this song for my sister. She loves it. Oh my God, I played your song at Ren Fair. Oh my God, we played your song here and there. Can you make a song that does this?" Like those videos maybe have been in my top maybe like 50 percentile,
Uh-huh.
but they've created a lot of really good connections for me.
Okay.
So those I actually consider my meat, even though I've had some like videos, they're funny, but they didn't create that same environment of people
Right.
like, you know, seeing me as representing me who I am.
Right.
So when it comes to the algorithm, you do want to play a little game of like, okay, I do want to get high views every once in a while, but I also want the posts that are meaty, even if they don't perform at, my top 10 percentile or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to balance that out. Not every video will go viral. It's not supposed to,
Right.
right? It's just not supposed to. If you want to display your expertise, there will be people who scroll away. If you're spinning fire in the backyard, cool. Some other people don't think it's that cool. But you know what? The people who stayed because they thought it was cool, like they're with you.
Yeah.
They're with you. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's your audience.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
all right. Well, so we've talked a lot about like the how the, all this creative process goes for you.
Mm-hmm.
How has like your need tongue's not good.
I get it.
How have your nerdy or geeky passions affected your life and or your mental health?
Okay, I'm gonna write this down 'cause I'm gonna ramble. So affected mental health, I'm gonna talk about in just a second.
Hmm.
It's a good question, and I'm very excited to answer that. How has it affected my life, though? Let's talk about that. Um, I used to tell like my family and friends what I do. Now I don't even say anything anymore.
Yeah.
Um, which is fine. It's all good. As my friend group of nerds grows, I feel less like I have to show the people who won't get it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
learning who to give this stuff to has been like a graceful thing. I think I finally got a hang of this year. The other weird thing though is I have a lot of contacts in the music industry. And they have my phone number. And on TikTok it's always like, "Do you know this person?" Because your phone numbers. And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's one of my students' parents." Or, "Oh my God, that guy is the guy I have a show to play with next month. You're showing him my pirate stuff, aren't you?" And TikTok's like, "Yes, we are."
Got him.
Um, I've learned, no, I'll get texts from like, musicians out of the blue who are like, "So I love the pirate thing." And I'm like, "What?" Overall, people like it. It's bizarre to me. It's crazy. So it's like this secret thing, and if you find it, go ahead, find it. I kind of like lean into it now. Like you
Yeah.
finally found it. But it's funny. I don't actively try to hide it, but I'm also not like
Yeah.
throwing it to everyone either. So I don't know. How does it affect my life? I giggle at it when like people who see it that aren't supposed to see it kind of like giggle. That's all. That's that. Mental health. I'm so glad you asked this question. I think for a lot of us in this community, we do this for a lot of different reasons, for a safe space, a space to creatively express who we are without judgment. I think a lot of us do this to not have to think about some other things that are going on in your regular life, which is
Hmm.
great. Some of us do it because we're lonely, and I do want to give a shout out to that because the pandemic really made people start having those conversations. Like just saying, I'm lonely is a really difficult thing to do. The pandemic kind of forced everyone to have those conversations. I think the nerd realm had an interesting experience with that because we were like, hey, we were lonely before the pandemic. We like found community in these weird offshoot,
Yeah.
weird nerdy things. Like we've been lonely for a long time. So it's been interesting because when the pandemic came up, we were like, we know what to do. We're gonna get in costumes, we're gonna go on TikTok, and we're gonna make taverns. We like knew what to do, you know? Um, so when it comes to my personal mental health, a lot of those resonate with me. I haven't in the last maybe 2 years, but before then I struggled a lot with depression and
Mhm.
like it can come up anytime because that's just how life goes and I'm ready for that day if that happens. But I used to struggle with depression a lot and having this place you can go to and this like world that you built and these characters that you know is a really safe time for me. So that has always existed. That's always been a beautiful thing. Nowadays it's changed a little bit. It's still like it's still there as safety, but it's also there as I'm learning I can express myself in a different way when I'm Emaline, when I'm another character. I have other characters I play, but like Emeline's, you guys love her, so I do her the most. But when I'm these other characters, there's other things and themes I can explore that might seem a little difficult to explore as Lindy.
Mhm.
So that's a role that plays my mental health too. Shout out to music. There's any other musicians in the chat? Music is a great way to get your brain to just what's the word? I don't know what the word is. Uh, to just get your brain to
Thought
do
vomit.
that thing. You guys know. Yeah. So music on its own for mental health has been, you know, it's just there.
Yeah.
It's always there when you need it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Well, speaking of community and like how we kind of have this space, how how do you stay connected and do you incorporate feedback from your community in your content?
Yes. All the ways that all the people do all the things. Discord, just talking with people on TikTok stays connected. I recently I like publish stuff on Spotify, right? And I started actually looking at like who's playing my Spotify songs, which has been interesting. And
Okay.
I don't know, that's just another way to stay connected. I know it's a one-way street, but it's kind of cool to be like, oh my God, there's like a little bit of interest here. So I understand that's like a community that I want to get into and grow a little bit more. But really all the normal things, just Discord, hanging out in you guys' comments, DMing some people, saying what's up. Going to cons this year, I've realized great way to stay connected with people and meet new people.
Yeah.
It is different when you meet people in real life. You
Yeah.
know this because, hi, yeah.
That's how we
Um,
met.
that's how we met. Should we tell we met at Gen Con, guys? Yeah. It was really good. But like, I don't know. I just think there's a beautiful, great way to meet someone at a con and be like, we have this mutual interest. We don't really have to talk about it
Yeah.
because I'm dressed like a pirate and you're dressed like a Viking. And like, I'm not even gonna look at your follower count. We're just gonna like have a good time. And that's a great way to make some cool relationships.
Oh, this was my
Yeah.
first con that I've ever gone to. Like I went to New York City Comic Con, but it was like the one by myself, and it was the
Okay.
first. I was just walking around like I don't know anybody.
Oh no.
So this is the first time I like
Okay.
actually went to a con, and it was
Hmm.
so much fun.
Yeah.
It was
What
so
was
got to
your
be.
view like the first time going to a con? Give me your honest feedback.
I was so fucking lost. What are you talking about, New York or this one?
Oh, this one, Gen Con.
Oh. I mean, I'm just there to fucking party. Let's be honest here. I was ready to hang out and just hang
Hmm.
and rage.
Hmm.
So it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Didn't care about any of the events. So it's just I don't know.
Yep. But
That
so,
was
you're
my
not the only one who does that. That's right. People go for different reasons, and some of us go to party
yeah
and miss the events, and
yeah.
that's fine. Nothing wrong with
I
that.
was this. I
You
just
know,
came to meet people and fucking rage.
came to rage, came to party at the con, baby.
All
Yep.
right. So I know you've worked with some amazing creators. Speaking of meeting people at cons, can you share any like behind the scenes stories or anecdotes from your experience as a content creator?
Hmm. Yeah. It's me and some of my four of my content creator friends were like, "Do you guys want to hang out?" We're like, "Yeah, what should we do?" We should go camping. We're like, "Heck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go to Colorado." We just, I don't know, we just went camping in Colorado. We were like, "Sweet, we're gonna have to bring like these clothes and that clothes. We're gonna go hiking. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be fine. By the way, I'm bringing my pirate gear." And they were like, "By the way, me too." So
I'm already hooked.
Colorado,
I'm already hooked.
wilderness.
Let's go.
You know where we're going. Colorado, wilderness. We're out there, cold. Like we got all the good things on. But we would go out for these day hikes, and me and a couple people were like, "I'm gonna bring my backpack." Right. And everyone's like, well, me too. And you know what I'm putting in my backpack? I was like, I know what you're putting in your backpack because I put my costume in there too. So we'd go to these hiking trails in the parking lot. We'd like change into our pirate gear. We would go hiking on the mountains in corsets and like our leathers and our furs. And I think some of us had masks on. And people were so funny in Colorado. We're just like walking, pirates walking past you in the Colorado wilderness. People were like, I'm like, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? What's up? Just, I love you guys. Yeah, if you ever hang out with your nerd friends, don't be afraid to be extra because there's not a lot of time.
No.
And this is the time. This is the time to be extra.
Let's let it all hang out.
Yo.
All right. So at a certain point in your journey, I'm sure you had some actual steps to. Oh, did I already answer this question? Did my notes get mixed up? Oh no, I didn't. So sorry. So at a certain point in your journey, I'm sure you had to take some actual steps to move this from hobby to profession. My question about that is, what point did you create a business plan, and can you give any insights as to how one might go about it?
Business plan, that's the word creatives hate, right? Yeah, business plans are not as scary as they sound, especially if you're a creative. There's a really simple way to do it. It goes like this. Specifically, creatives on social media, get a through line, get a business statement. We could call it a creative statement. Like take the word business out because I know that creatives vomit when they hear that word. It's a creative statement. So for me, I have two different social medias. I have a different through line, a different statement with each one. With my guitar account where I do guitar education, I want to bring first of all, quality. And I want to bring simplicity and evergreen content to the world of guitar. I'm just fighting. There's like a lot of, don't worry about it. There's people in that world who are not that way. And I just want to be like, you know what? We can be a little less gatekeepy. Here's
Right.
my contribution to that. Very clear line about what I'm doing there. The Pyre stuff, it took me a while to figure out, right? Because I was playing with it in the beginning. Right now, it is, I want to create a group of people, or I want to gather a group of people who feel free to express themselves in any creative way. I do it by playing guitar, dressed as a pirate on the internet. But like if you hang out in my Discord server, we're now doing a writing group because there's just a lot of writers that showed up in the Discord. We're like, oh my gosh, why don't we nurture this community? Whatever way you feel like you want to express yourself, I want to do that. Just because I play guitar doesn't mean I'm gathering guitar people. It's really important for my pirate stuff to be like, you can express yourself any creative way you want to. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, you can express yourself any creative way you want to. That's welcome here. So my business plan starts from those 2 points. I decide what I'm going to do. I make my business plan or my creative plan by dripping off of those thoughts. So for the pirate stuff, my next step is going to be, okay, I want to create this community. Where are they going to go? And then it becomes those technical questions that creatives may not like so much. Right now, my creative community, I've decided to put everybody on a Discord server. It was great. Recently, a couple months ago, I decided I am going to start putting people on. I'm going to start promoting the Spotify as well. So you can kind of start to see how these little decisions in the background are going to change the way I interact with you guys. The Discord server is awesome, but I also want to grow the Spotify playlist. There's different strategies to do both of those things. So these choices then confirm what my next steps will be, right? And it just kind of blossoms from there. So I think if other people have business goals that look different than mine, like let's say you want to promote, what's a common one? Let's say you just want to promote your D&D game, right? You got a podcast. You want people to listen to your podcast. How am I going to promote this as a business plan? What does that look like? So like, where is your podcast? How do you want to get people to interact with your podcast? Are they just going to listen to it? Are people going to make fan art of your storylines, right? If they are, where are you going to host this fan art? Are you going to do a weekly fan art shout out? Where are you going to get the artists, right? These are interesting questions, and I think they're really cool. It's cool to examine what it is you're selling
Hmm.
and how you want people to interact with whatever it is that you're selling.
Okay. So do you do you recommend, like, if for people that want to do this professionally, that, like, do you recommend any like starting steps for this, like creating this business plan? It would be mostly just like the
Yeah.
know what your through line is.
That's a great one. A lot of people post to social media and don't really have a compass of where they're going. It's just, which is fine too. That's totally a stage you can be at. I was there for like a year. But yeah, once you get that intention and once you know where you're going and what your through line is, great. The other thing, just look at people who you admire, people you want to be like.
Hmm.
Sorry, not people you admire. Look at people you want to be like.
Right.
It's different sometimes. Like I admire Lindsay Sterling, but my career's gonna look a little bit different than hers. Totally fine. But I want to write music for custom music for TTRPG. I want to write more custom music for like players. That's what I want to do. So I'm looking at other people right now who do that. What do they do? How do they do it? How are they successful? Dude, listen, I got on a call with someone. Um, I'm not gonna say his name, but you all would know this person's name. But I DM'd this person recently. I was like, hey, I love what you do. You're so talented at what you do. I'm starting to explore more things that are like what you do. Could we just get on a quick 15-minute call? I'll Venmo you, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Like, I have like a couple questions I want to pick your brain on. This person was so open and so just like, don't worry about it. Just like jump in a 15-minute call. What's up? And he told me all these strategies that he has that I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
And these are ways to, it actually goes back to like growing my Spotify is kind of, he gave me a bunch of tips on that. But find people that are doing what you want to do, look like study them. But if you feel confident enough, reach out and just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask, you know?
What do I want to ask you now? I feel like I want to ask you more. I want to know more.
Go for it. What do you personally want to go for? Like, I love sharing this stuff.
Um, so as far as like business stuff, and maybe the creatives are gonna hate us. Like the business side of stuff. How do you handle that? Like, what is like? Do you do LLCs? Like, what is that side of the look for you?
I want to leave the chat now.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah, I hate it with a passion. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do everything myself. I don't have help, and oh my God, it's too much. The things I tend to struggle with the most, this is just me personally, are like I really have a issue, not an issue. I struggle with organization, okay? Um, like what's an example? I can think of one, but it's really embarrassing. I am starting to do affiliate links in
Okay.
oh
Yep.
my God, which is a great way if you want to
Yeah.
make some extra income, if you are trying to make this affiliate links are great, you guys. Oh my God. I'm really bad at getting with the companies. I'm really good at opening the conversations, asking what products you like. I want to promote this product, let's go. And then they're like, okay, here's the affiliate link. You have to usually like go to our Backspace website and sign up for this weird like thing and we're going to put you on payroll. It's a whole thing. I suck at that step. I'm
Yeah.
really, really bad at it. Sometimes I'll leave companies hanging for like a week or two and I'm just like, I don't want to do
I
this
don't want to.
spreadsheet thing. So like organization for me is a little bit like I want to do what I love and I don't want to do,
The business end.
yeah,
All right.
it's real bad.
Yeah, I know we formed the LLC this year, and it was just whew,
Oh,
it is
congratulations.
overwhelming. As someone who
Yep.
can't do math good, not my
I hear you,
strong
man.
suit.
Oh, it's bad.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on from the business talk. It's enough of that.
All
Happy
right.
thoughts.
All right.
So we've all known in that content creators that aren't all they present themselves to be as they've grown. What kind of moral compass do you keep for yourself in this space, and how do you try to ensure you stick to your core tenets?
This is a great question. I'm so glad you asked this. Yeah. Moral compass can mean a lot, but it also can mean very little. Inclusivity is a big one for me. And I don't always hit this. Like sometimes I have to work with it. What does it take to get a lot of different people in a room, for example, in a room listening to someone's music, maybe? And maybe there's people with different beliefs in that room. How do we get them to come together, have a positive experience for the hour they're hanging out together, and then go home and feel better than they did when they walked in the door? It's kind of a simple thing if you think about it.
Hmm.
It's also not simple if you think about it too. So, you can take that apart as much as you want. It's when you get groups of people together, that can be tough. And that's what I'm trying to do is get groups of people together, right?
Hmm.
So, within me, I always want to promote, this is just for me, um, if an issue arises, I want to talk to the people who are having the issue. Like if it's appropriate, I want to talk to people who are having the issue and figure out what's going on in my fan base. What are you guys dealing with? There's some tension here. Is there any way I could help it out? And like this one's touchy because sometimes it's not appropriate to do that, but sometimes it is. Just like, you can think, okay, I'm getting at like the drama, right? Some musicians, we've all followed the musicians who have the drama. Maybe, someone goes through a breakup and writes a song about it. Oh my God, that's fun, right? And then like the fans get involved in the drama. So maybe that's a better example. Me as the leader, me in the front of this project, I want to always be aware that I'm kind of leading this group of people through this experience that we're having. So I may not really write a breakup song for Tavern Core. I might, I don't know. I don't think I don't know, man. But the thought process would be what waves would that push into the audience that I'm dealing
Right.
with, right? So it's more focused on like inclusivity, what would bring people together. Um, that's kind of a thought that I'll have that will help determine how I want to like navigate those waters. So moral
So,
compass, it's delicate though. It's a tough
yeah.
one. Yeah.
So, are you comfortable sharing like what some of your core tenets are for your like
Yeah.
at least your pirate account, let's say? So I
Yeah.
don't know about
Yeah.
I don't know how much your business one you want to go into.
Actually, the business one's been around longer, so I actually know it a little better. I'll do both. So for the business account, really, really strongly, I want women to be respected in what I do, just because the guitar world, we're talking like rock, right? Hard rock, right? Um, Women have been very sexualized in the past, like in the 80s, women were treated very differently. There's much more quality in today's world today, and I love that. And I just want to have my presence there, and I just want to be like, hey guys, you respect me the same way you respect like these other genders. It's
Hmm.
real simple. It's real simple, right? So that's a core tenet that I have. People get it, they understand it. It doesn't need to be a big deal because they get it, and that's
Yeah.
a great one. Totally great. Um, Once you get known for something, guys, like it's easy to maintain. Sometimes standing up for the first time and getting known for it can be a little weird, but once people are like, "Oh yeah, that's like the inclusivity, the like gatekeepy guitar teacher, cool." Like it's easy. It's easy after that point. Um, Pirate stuff is pretty much bringing groups of people together, having a positive experience. I'm still learning how to do that. I haven't actually done like a live tavern course show yet. It's coming. I haven't done it yet, but that would be the goal is to do a big tavern core show, have a bunch of nerd people show up, we find community in the setting that's not D&D, right? It's like a setting where you just come, have a good time,
Yeah.
hang out, chill, awesome, have some drinks, party, whatever, and go home. And, you know, man, it's a little harder because it's a little more esoteric on that one.
Hmm.
You know why? Because other people are involved. That's why. On my
Hmm.
professional account, I can like handle that because it's a narrative on my professional account. On the pirate account, it's like I need you guys to accomplish my goals.
Right.
I never thought about this. Yeah, so a lot more community will be needed for that.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm still kind of learning because the pirate stuff
Right.
has only been professional for a shorter time. That's all.
Um, well, do you have any advice for people trying to grow in the space without being taken advantage of? Like to avoid them being taken advantage of. What advice do you have for
Hmm.
them?
Hmm. So taken advantage of can be done a couple different ways. I think knowing what that means is a really important thing. Some people are not great at business deals. I run a dice company. I want you to have this affiliate link. You're going to sell some dice for me. I want you to post once a week, and you're going to get 6% of all sales you make. Some people don't have the numbers, the knowledge, or the experience to know that's a lot of work for a very little
Yeah.
amount of pay, and that is not standard. That's very under under what should be offered. So that's one way you can be taken advantage of. But if you don't know that's a way to be taken advantage of, you might succumb to that. So it looks different for everybody. Like musicians get taken advantage of in a way different way than, a cosplay content creator might get taken advantage of, right? People are
Right.
always like, musicians, we want you to play for free exposure. The audience will be great. You'll get a lot of new fans here. And it's like, You can pay me though. So that's a whole thing. But I think talking with other people in the space, seeing what other content creators are doing, and just asking other people what are some issues you've run into, specifically people who are trying to do what you are trying to do. Um, TikTok musicians who are trying to go out and like do their own shows are going to have different struggles than people who are, trying to promote their D&D game, their podcast. That might be a different sort of I'm taking advantage of you. So just talk to people who are also in your space, in your circle, doing what you do. Ask them and share your experiences too. You're not supposed to be perfect.
Right.
You probably will get taken advantage of at some point, and that's okay. Use it as an experience and use it to help your community around you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the last question I have for you is what message or impact do you hope to leave in the geek space?
The geek space. You guys are valuable and you guys are worth it. We're here to have a good time. I see you and I respect you. And I guess at the end of it all, this is like a safe community that you can creatively express yourself in. That's what I want to say.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, we are going to open up the questions to you guys, the viewers. If you have any questions for Lindy, I never know how to say your name, Emaline.
Oh,
Lindy?
that's right. I introduced you as Emaline. That's right. Hi, my real name's Lindy. You met Emaline. I go by either. Emaline,
I didn't know
though.
which one
Sure.
to call you.
Sorry. That's right. You met as Emaline. I said, hi, I'm Emaline. I shook your hand. Yes.
If you have any questions for Lindy, go ahead and start posting them in the chat. While those questions start to come in, we are going to go to our Dicey Questions segment, which is where Miss Lindy is going to roll a d20 and we're going to ask her one of our crazy questions. So
Okay.
go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Which one should I roll? I actually played D&D this morning. I'm going to use the dice I used this morning. Ready? Got you with the 5.
All right. What is your favorite and least favorite video game?
Favorite, Witcher 3, hands down.
Okay.
Least favorite? Oh, don't laugh at me. It was a James Bond game, GoldenEye?
GoldenEye is your least favorite game?
Yeah,
God.
Me and my cousins, listen, ready? Me and my cousins would sit in my cousin's upstairs like loft and we'd play this game. I would get thrashed. A little like 6-year-old me would get thrashed. Dude, I despise that game. Bad memories with that game. Sorry, it's true. I'm so sorry. I know it's iconic.
Our friendship's over.
I know.
So why is Witcher your favorite game?
Witcher? Oh my god, the storyline is amazing. The characters, characters got me. They got me by the heart. They got me. Every character in that game is relatable. I bonded with every single one really, really hard. I love the games that are like, here's some moral choices. There's not a right or wrong choice. They're just moral choices, right? And there's a lot of that. Like, it's not clear which choice is right or wrong. So you really like, yeah. I love that stuff. I love that stuff so much.
Witcher 1, 2, or 3?
Dude. Witcher 1 was fantastic. Totally fantastic. I'm going to say Witcher 3 because just, oh my God. Don't make me pick. Witcher 3. Witcher 3.
What do you think of the show?
Next question.
All right, moving on.
Wait, I do want to give shouts. Listen, season 1 of Witcher 3, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, next question.
Okay, go ahead and roll another d20 for me.
Yes. 10.
All right. What is in your hoard? Like, what do you collect?
What angle am I going to give you for this one? Rocks.
Rocks.
Don't go anywhere. Hold up.
Remember, if you have questions, everyone, go ahead and start getting them in the chat so we can dive into some of your questions. Okay.
Hi,
Crystal girl.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Focusing the energies. Do you have a favorite? Like, is there a favorite?
There is. Some rocks are like, I put them on pedestals. I treat them like celebrities. I'm like, okay, and this one was the one I found. Listen to me. When my friend, actually from the same trip where me and my friends hiked the mountain as pirates, We found a ancient lava flow and we picked up obsidian, was it? I can't remember. And I was like, dude, this is dragon vomit. And I took that home and it's like in a higher standing than this rock right here. I just want you to know. So I treat them
Okay.
like yes.
Fuck, I love it. Everyone's got to have a passion,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
give me another D20 roll.
19.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. What's 19? All right, I think this is an easy one, or it's probably actually gonna be really hard for you. Something you've created that you're really proud of.
The Tavern Core album. Oh my God. That happened. This was okay. So new genre for me. Cool. Tavern Core album. Let's do it. Not only that, it was a lot more than that too. This was the first album I put after COVID, after all the bands dissolved, no more work. This was it. This was like, oh my God, I'm coming out of COVID. We're done here. This was also the first album I did start to finish with nobody else helping. This was
Wow.
all me, baby. 100%. And it's crazy what that does for your like confidence. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm ready to take over the world now. That was a warm up. Oh my God. Very, very proud of that. If anyone's listened to it, just thank you so much. The support's been awesome. I love like putting this music in this community because this community knows what to do with it. They're like, we got you, boo. And it's a whole thing.
What was that process like creating a whole album?
Um, some of it was really easy, some of it was really hard. Some songs came pretty quick.
Hmm.
Um, some songs didn't. So it's interesting. I personally have created different relationships with the songs because the creation process was so vastly different. One song actually came from an inspiration from a text role play I had like a year before I decided to make this album. So it was interesting. That was like this concept, this thought I always had, and it was just laying around. I was like, I should probably do something with that. Okay, maybe one day. Maybe one day. Um, so I just remember when the album came out, I was like, you know what? It's time. And that song was like, it's time, put me on the shelf. I was like, all right, let's go. So like I have a relationship with that song because it lived in the dark for like a
Yeah.
year, right? Other songs, okay, there's a content creator I'm friends with who does this like epic shots of him in his cosplay. Oh, his account is so cool. I was like, I know it's not going to work out like this, but I kind of want to write a song that would look good on his account. Like it's for everybody, but that really was one of the things where I was like, I'm gonna write a track where epic people can like be like, I'm taking this and I'm like using this.
Okay. Well,
Um,
number one, what's the track?
yeah, Death Hawk Crossing. If you want some epic badass music to like show off your cosplay to, Death Hawk Crossing.
Okay. And
Want a
what was the
link?
account that's if you're okay saying it, what was the account that inspired it?
Yeah, James T. George.
I know James. I don't know
Yep,
James personally,
yep,
but I know the account.
yep, yeah. 'Cause he does that like slow-mo thing, and I
Yeah.
was just like, dude, I just want to see you stand there and like slow-mo pull a sword to this song in the background. Oh my God. But it's for everybody, but like, these things start with like little sparks.
Did you tell him that you created that song specifically with him in mind?
No, because that's nerdy. It's the nerd.
He's gonna know now.
Damn it.
All right. Let's get any other final questions in the chat and go ahead and roll one more time for me, and
Okay.
then we will jump into the audience questions. Four.
Four. Oh.
Ooh, okay. Favorite character in sci-fi or fantasy?
Favorite? Just one?
I mean, you can give me a top 20 for all I care.
Roland Deschain. I say his name, Deschain from the Dark Tower. Oh my God.
Okay.
Um, that's a that book. No, sorry, I'm changing my answer. No, it's a character very similar to him. I push him away. God, I haven't thought about this book in forever. Gene Wolfe, Severian. Oh my God, I'm gonna be amazed if anyone. If you read books from the 80s, you'll know who this is. It's not really in common pop culture anymore. This book starts off as a fantasy book. It is a guy who got banned from his guild. The guild he was part of was the Executioners Guild. These are professional executionists who go out and do the king's contracts, and they come back to their guild. They practice the art of clean execution. It's like an art form to them.
Hmm.
This story, Severian is one guy who gets kicked out of this guild, and he has to just go live amongst the people, but they're not trained to live amongst the normal people. They're trained to be these professional killers,
Hmm.
and it's a fascinating story. He is a crazy, such a cool, such a weird, deep, just like odd main character. He's gonna make my number one list.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that? Just one more time for everyone. The name of that book was.
This is, yeah, Gene Wolfe. Uh, my God, there's like three books in this series, and I'm remembering the third one, Crest of the New World. I have to look it up. Hold on. I haven't read this book in a long time, is why. Gene Wolfe, who is Book of the New Sun. There we go.
Book of the New Sun.
Book of the New
There you go.
Sun. Yes.
And it's on everyone's mandatory reading list now.
Mandatory, man.
All right, let's dive into some questions from the chat.
Hello, chat.
Ned would love to hear a Tavern Core breakup song.
Okay, I'll make that note real quick.
He also wants to.
to.
He also
Yeah.
wants to ask, what's the spooky song you're working on this year in October?
Oh, yes. I'm doing a couple spooky songs. I'm gonna be honest, some of them are actually just recycles. I wrote a song like last year, and it was just a dark. So anyway, I'm recycling it to make it just a little bit more tavern core. It was a little bit rock, but I'm pulling it more towards that. So it doesn't have a name right now, but I will name it soon.
Hmm.
It's gonna drop pretty quickly. Second one is I did this 2 years ago. I wrote Imagine by the Beatles in a minor key. I
Okay.
did this for my rock project, but I'm actually revamping it to be a little bit more tavern core. We'll see how it comes out. So those two.
Okay. Um, let's see here. Zelda Rose wants to know if you could assemble your ideal Sanderson sisters for a Tavern Core Madrigal cover of I Put a Spell on You, who would be whom?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, can we call Lindsay Sterling? Can we call the Harp Twins? Can we call? I just want like a menagerie. I feel like Evanescence would kill it on there too. Amy, what's your last name, girl? I can't think right now, you guys. I know her name too. And we'll say that. Amy Lee, I knew that too.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes, that would be it. Weird lineup, but it would work, man. It would work. Yeah.
All right. And then we had a question from Bien, who I don't you were I think you were with us when we met Bien at
Yeah, I
Gen Con.
remember.
Yes.
Hi. Say hi.
Hey Bien. What company or IP in the entertainment industry would you love to work or collaborate with?
Uh, Let me answer that from nerdum standpoint.
Yep.
I'm dying right now to work. I'm actually looking for a um clothing company to work with.
Okay.
I really have a need for a more athletic costume. I love my costume right now, but it prevents me from doing tricks and stunts, which is something I love to do. So I'm looking. I'm actually like shopping right now, and I want a little update on my outfit.
All right.
So it's more of a me thing. It's more of a selfish thing, but yeah, that's what I want.
All right. That being said, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our interview. Is there anything you wanted to plug? Where can we catch you next?
Yeah. There's a lot more focus on music for the rest of this year in 2024. I am I'm going to do live Tavern Core fantasy gigs at some point. So that it's gonna take a couple months, but that's in the works. Let's go. Check out my Discord. Please check out the Instagram. Sorry, let me say that again. Please check out the Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. You can find me on all streaming platforms. Yeah. Um, if you want to see pirate and D&D content, go to TikTok and Instagram.
All of your
Bye-bye.
links are now posted in the chat, as well as your Discord server link. They're all just kind
Thank
of
you.
shotgunned in there because I didn't have time to write it up. Anyways, is there something premiering tonight?
There is. So I am uploading songs to YouTube very slowly at this point in time. They're songs you guys have heard before. They're on the album, but there's a special premiere right now on YouTube at 7:30, 10 minutes from right now. 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. I'm on the Pacific Coast right now. Come hang out with us on YouTube. and we're gonna premiere. It's gonna be super fun.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna be the end for us,
All
Lindy.
right.
Well, I think we're gonna end our investigation check, and I think it's safe to say we rolled a natural 20. Thank you so much, Lindy, for joining us tonight and allowing us to dive in. And that all being said, how dare you, Ned, say, oh, no, you know what? read that West Coast, Best Coast. I was about to fight him because East Coast,
You
Beast Coast.
can. I played D&D with him, so he's probably being a nerd, and
No,
I
no,
can't say
East
that.
Coast, Beast Coast. There we go.
Okay. 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 We
All right.
good.
Thank you so much. We're all gonna hop over into Lindy's premiere, so I will definitely be there,
Come
and
hang out on YouTube, guys.
let's all
Yeah.
hang out. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.